Hey everyone, and welcome to the Prater podcast, where our aim is to connect our global family of Sovereign Grace churches with our executive director. Mark, last week on the podcast, you talked about how you guys had a leadership team retreat where you talked about all kinds of stuff. You shared some of those updates with us, but one thing you guys were talking about is the pastors conference, which is coming soon.
Soon.
And along with the pastors conference, the Council of Elders meeting that will gather the day before the conference starts on November 17th. And you wanted to talk about the Council of Elders and the pastors conference, but let's talk about the Council of Elders.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the Council of Elders meeting and make one specific point in particular. By the way, it does start on Monday, November 17th. Likely, I believe 1 p.m. is probably
Right.
the start time I'll choose. But I wanted to talk about it to mention this. Right now, this Council of Elders meeting that gathers in the States annually is our global Council of Elders meeting.
Right.
Meaning that it is the body of guys that makes decisions that can impact not just the states, but our churches throughout the world. And until as we expand, if God allows us to expand, until we get to a place where we will have a more defined global Council of Elders meeting, this Council of Elders meeting, even though it meets in the States, and even though it has at this point more United States delegates than those outside the states, it is our global Council of Elders meeting.
Right.
And let me just illustrate why that's important. If you are an emerging nation partner church, meaning there's an ordained Sovereign Grace elder in your church somewhere outside of the United States, you have voting privileges on a defined number of things. The statement of faith, any changes in the statement of faith, changes in ordination statuses. We had a long debate last year about ordination standards, but we had a long debate last year about ordination statuses
That's right.
that
Yeah.
we chose not to vote on, to do more work
Mm.
on. But that's something that can impact any church in Sovereign Grace, whether in the States or not. You can vote on that. You can vote on the delegates to the executive committee, because they are the one board that oversees the leadership team. And right now, we're the one global leadership team. So those are just some of the, one other thing that you can vote on. There'll be new business motions that could apply to you and your church, whether you're in the Philippines or in Mexico or in Colombia, that could impact you. So for example, last year, we had a new business motion that emerging nation partner delegates voted on, where we took the one church planning grant fund that we had and divided it into a United States fund and a global fund for a number of important reasons. So again, these are votes that impact you and your church if you are a delegate that exists outside of the United States. So I want to encourage any pastor from outside the States to come to our Council of Elders meeting and pastors conference. If you're a candidate church, you won't be able to vote at the Council of Elders meeting, but feel free to come. An emerging nation partner church has voting privileges, or any church outside of the states that's interested in becoming a part of Sovereign Grace. You're welcome to come and observe. But it's real important because I really want to encourage, if you're able, emerging nation partner delegates to be at the Global Council of Elders meeting on November 17th. And if that's a cost issue with you, speak to Dave Taylor. I don't know that he can help you, but he would be the guy to speak with. And then for our delegates here in the States who have signed a U.S. partnership agreement, which would also include the church in Toronto, Canada, and our church in the Bahamas and church in Jamaica. So they can vote on these things, because the U.S. BCO does impact them. Just a reminder that if you have any BCO amendments, those are due by August 15th. You can send them to me, or you can send them to the executive committee. That's 90 days before our meeting. So just an encouragement regarding, and a reminder that this is a Global Council of Elders meeting. Very important business happens there that impacts our churches, whether in the States or not. And sometimes I think we can view this as this is just a business meeting that we just kind of got to get through. I understand that. I get that part of it, but those are decisions that impact all of us. So please make this meeting a priority to attend and participate in.
That's helpful clarification, Mark. I mean, one of the things that God has been doing, as everybody who's around Sovereign Grace knows, is expanding our global partnership. And so even just, the introduction of the Mexico region a couple of conferences ago, and things like that may, create some sense of like, well, where are we going with this? Is it Mexico have its own thing? And that's but you're helping us understand, nope, for now, this remains the Council of Elders. And to be sure, if anyone wants to learn more about, if you're outside the States, you want to learn more about Sovereign Grace and you're checking us out, that's a really wonderful place to go and learn about Sovereign Grace, because, we're doing business there. And that's important to be able to observe how we do business. I think one of the things that's very enjoyable about being at a Council of Elders meeting is observing just really the godly way that these pastors that conduct themselves in debate, disagreement, discussion. So you really get to see really inside how things get done. But also, it is not just business. I mean, it is an edifying experience. We sing together. There are prayers that were prayed that still resonate with me from past Council of Elders meetings. So looking forward to being with everybody there.
One thought about Mexico, since you brought them up, I'm glad you brought it up for this reason. Mexico, as most guys listening to this podcast remember, it'll be 3 years ago, I believe, in November, that we voted to establish Mexico as its own nation.
Right.
And within their nation, they do have their own Council of Elders, but they vote on things that impact their nation. BCO, they have their own BCO, so BCO amendments that impact them. But they wouldn't be able to vote to change the statement of faith, for example.
Right.
Or they couldn't vote to change ordination standards or statuses, because that's in the BCO. They couldn't vote for executive committee delegates because those are global decisions. So, yes, in a nation, they have their own council and have certain things they vote on, but only for that nation. At this point, the Council of Elders that meets in the U.S. is our global Council of Elders. So I'm glad you brought that up, Ben. Thank you.
Excellent. And so some of us love business meetings, but for those of us who maybe don't quite have that affection, yet still, just the whole context of that gathering the day before the Pastors Conference is an enriching and edifying experience of partnership that I look forward to each year. But following right after the day after the Council of Elders on November 18, we begin the 2025 Pastors Conference. Talk to us about that. That is just where we're recording this in mid-June, so we're not far from the Pastors Conference.
No, I wanted to bring it up just to remind folks that it is very kind of John Piper to accept our invitation to come and speak this year. And therefore, we're going to do something very unique on that Tuesday the conference starts. Typically, the whole conference kicks off that Tuesday evening in the main session. That will happen again. But we are having a session for Sovereign Grace pastors or visiting guest pastors, or those that are in the ordination process, or they're PC students or PC grads. That afternoon, for all those pastors or pastoral candidates, you can come to a meeting with John Piper. It's going to be really a Q&A with John Piper about pastoral ministry on Tuesday, November 18, 3:30 to 5. And you just don't want to miss this. If you listen to the Ask Pastor John podcast, or you read it, you know this man is filled with years of experience and wisdom.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to enjoy from Dr. Piper that afternoon. So make sure that you make travel arrangements to be in Orlando, to be at that meeting at 3:30 on Tuesday afternoon, November 18th. And he'll kick off the conference that evening, speaking in our very first main session. So, by the way, we've got other main speakers we're going to be announcing very, very soon. We discussed this at the leadership team retreat last week. We wanted to let folks know that Dr. Piper was coming. The other main sessions, we do think through those topics very carefully.
I know you do.
There's usually some strategic or leadership reason we choose the topics that we do, but those main session speakers will be announced soon. Let me just remind folks of this, because I think this is very important. Early registration ends on June 30th. So we're recording this on June 19th. That's only 11 days away. And if you want to enjoy what I would say is a significant savings on your registration, please register before June 30th.
One more thing before we go. So for some folks, I think there's still some confusion at times about who can go to the pastors conference. So I was talking to a guy the other day and I asked him if he had been before. And he said, well, I'm not a pastor, so of course not. And I said, oh, no, no, you don't need to be a pastor. We're actually bringing a number of folks that aren't pastors. Who is just to clarify for anybody who might be wondering, who is invited to come to the pastors conference?
Well, obviously pastors, and
Yes.
we really encourage men to bring their wives. There's a breakout
That's
session this
wonderful.
year for the ladies that is going to be done by Jeff and Julie Purswell.
Hmm.
It's going to be really good, so you don't want to miss that. Just as a bit of incentive to bring your wife. But what we would also encourage are young men that you think are called to pastoral ministry, and
Hmm.
then leaders in your church, whether it's they're small group leaders and ministry team leaders, or maybe even leaders that are emerging and will be like
Hmm.
small group leaders. We just want folks or pastors to bring all those folks from their church. So no, you don't have to be a pastor to
Yeah.
come to our pastors conference.
Excellent. And we look forward to, as you announced on the last podcast, 2026, which is going to be the big blowout, where we're
Yep.
just saying, everybody come, all the leaders
Yep.
at every church. And we're going to be enjoying a pretty wild time, I anticipate, next year. But we still have this conference to look forward to. So thanks for the updates, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for checking out the podcast. And we'll see you here next week, Lord willing. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching. If you have questions or comments, Mark would love to hear from you. For more videos like this, hit subscribe on YouTube or by email at markkprater.com.